seems like the Gaddafi thing is like the root of these problems that are existing today. Maybe is it he took money from Gaddafi in 2007 allegedly. Nothing's been proven yet, but he took it allegedly to fund his campaign, which is insane. To take money.
Do you know he had? In 2007, he had Gaddafi in Paris, and Gaddafi he set his pants on the Elysee garden, which is like the White House. He had Gaddafi just like a royal guest, like welcome Gaddafi here.
So
you can sleep.
Allies?
Well, remember they
were definitely doing business together.
Yeah. But we made it, remember, because in the 2000s, the U.S. made a deal with Libya where we said they weren't terrorists anymore briefly. Remember that? Because they stopped making their weapons of mass destruction. This was do you remember? So I remember it must have created an opening where it wasn't as outrageous to have Gaddafi there. Okay. But he did, he did blow up a plane that killed a lot of Syracuse students, for instance, in the 80s. So he's not a good guy to be hanging out with, strolling the garden. But did he... And that's actually worse than anything. Trump didn't Putin didn't actually give money to Trump's campaign. Can you imagine?
Putin? Trump. Yeah.
No, I'm saying this is even crazier if you think about it. That if it's true.
This is completely bizarre. Yeah. Well, what did people think at the time? Was it seen as crazy at the time that he was even hanging out with Gaddafi, or was that pretty normal?
Yeah.
Well, the general feeling that politicians are fucking, garbage people. I think it's worldwide. It's not a French thing. So, and there's a jadedness about it, which is sad, but it was different. He had supporters, so he had, and even to this day, he has fans and people who, but yeah, for the most part, anyone who didn't vote for him was fuck this guy anyway, and he probably did it and it's wrong. But there's not a lot of things you can, there's not a lot of shit you can do as a citizen except be all right, you're having a dictator on your lawn. Literally, the assumption that everybody was corrupt was already there. It didn't create a new thing. I said, the socialist government that was in place in the 80s and 90s did a lot of fucked up shit too. I think we're at this point, people were already jaded, like they are now.
So then he goes. He possibly takes this money, which hasn't been proven yet, but it seems like probably, I guess. And then that comes out. Gaddafi's the one who outs him in 2011, right?
Right before he dies or something? He's...
I didn't know that. Did you read that?
That's what we read through research. Yeah, the way this came out is Gaddafi himself said, I funded Sarkozy. And
I think by this point, he was probably on a lot of drugs. I don't know if you remember, the last days of Gaddafi, he seemed so fucked up.
Yeah, he was going out with a bang, for sure.
He probably
he seemed like a crazy person.
Yeah,
he was a tough person to tell if he's on drugs, though. That kind of guy, if I remember. He was just very...
He was sweaty and weird looking.
And he had didn't he have girls? He had a whole gang of women soldiers.
That's true.
Yeah, that was wild.
I remember that.
They were making a documentary. That's no.
So then Gaddafi's because I think Sarkozy, as you mentioned earlier, Sarkozy was France was basically responsible for going in and getting Gaddafi, and then they got the UK and possibly us. I guess
we were involved. Yeah,
and but France was spearheading it. You guys were the ones that were on top of it. Let's go get Gaddafi. And so then Gaddafi was obviously pissed because he's hey, I just put this guy in office, and now he's coming after me. And
it sounds movie worthy. It's
wild,
crazy. But
no, you imagine us. Yesterday, I just started researching. All right, so why is Sarkozy? Why is he possibly going to prison or house arrest? And then Gaddafi's involved, and then it's
But Sarkozy, was he still the president during the Libyan civil war? I forget.
He was there.
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was. So he turned because the war he didn't obviously start it, but I guess he realized I got to get on the right side of history.
He finished.
Yeah. Well, we were.
Yeah, I don't know what. I don't know what convenience he got out of getting rid of him. I think maybe he got rid of him to, maybe possibly hide the fact that Gaddafi financed the campaign. He was trying to silence him. Maybe all right, Gaddafi's people are turning against him. Well, I'm going to get on this, so he won't rat me out. And I guess, as you said, he probably already did.
Yeah. Dead don't talk, as they say. Right? So it comes out, and he obviously is saying, like, well, why are you going to trust these people? This is Gaddafi and criminals who are claiming this against me. But then the French police, whoever decides to start wiretapping Sarkozy because of this investigation. So they put a tap on his phone so they can listen into his phone conversations.
And because not just because of this investigation, because of another case where his name is in from the 90s. Apparently he was working with a guy who sold weapons to fucking, I don't know, man. I'm not qualified to talk about politics.
No, just whatever you basically know.
Yeah.
We talk to comedians every week.
This is what we do. You think we're qualified to talk politics?
Yeah. Just remember, you're talking to people who know nothing about this story.
And believe me, our audience is a bunch of dummies. They don't difference. Just say it with authority. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically he had something to do with illegal arms sale in the 90s, and I think that's why he was wiretapped, and also the Gaddafi thing, and he also has a lot of enemies, in the French government.
Yeah.
Even though now a lot of his enemies now are like, oh my, since he got the sentence, like even his enemies are like, oh my god, people are hard on him because they've all done some shit.
Right, so it could come for them. It could turn. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, whoa, are we going to really start going to jail now? Like, fuck that.
Well, that's the thing.
But he's not going to jail. I mean, let's be honest. There's no way he's going to jail.
I know. Yeah. So I guess they say he's not going to jail.
House arrest.
He got a 3-year prison sentence. 2 years of those were just thrown out immediately.
Suspended,
which means, okay, don't worry about it. And then the third year, they put a bracelet around his ankle. That's kind of the decision, right?
No, they might.
They might.
Yeah.
Well,
he's going to sit around while Carla Bruni plays music all day. And these other guys, though, their wives might not be as lovely, and they don't want to be house arrested.
Well, first of all, he appealed immediately, so technically, like, the sentence doesn't really exist anymore. Like, there's going to be another trial next year, because there was no real mandate to incarcerate him, from what I understand. So there was, and those people never go to jail. Like, I mean. That at least in my lifetime, I have not seen like such high-ranking people serving hard time. Like that seems very unlikely. And even the bracelet thing is like, yeah, but he's gonna like try to weave himself out of it in any way he can. He's got access to the best lawyers in the country, so there's a lot.
The general feeling among the French people. That's why it's maybe not such a big deal. Is that nobody thinks. He's not going to jail, right?
Well, is this a big deal in France or not?
Well, I mean, the news. I mean, the way the news looks and the title. I mean, it is pretty like it's never happened before.
Yeah.
And he wants to come back in 2022, which next year we have a presidential election. So he kind of wants to come back, even though he already lost. He already tried to come back like 4 years ago, and that didn't work out. But he's still, those people are so power fucking hungry that they'll never give up.
Swamp creature.
And if he's not like convicted, like officially, because like I said, he appealed, so he can still run. And if he, if he loses again, then he's fucked. He's toast. He can't really. And but I mean, it's hard to feel bad for him. He's probably got 3 houses, and
right.
I don't care really what happens to him. And that's probably the general feeling in France. Is like everybody knew. I mean, we all knew he's a fucking crook, and then he's still got. It's like a singer with fans. He's still gonna have like followers. Like there's still people that defend Marilyn Manson, even though he was outed as a horrible person like a few months ago.
He might not be doing arenas anymore, but he can fill theaters. Right?
Yeah, and the comments and the comments on YouTube are always going to be 50-50. Like, he didn't do it. He did do it. Like that's always. So he's always going to have like, and Sarkozy's the same thing. Like, yeah, he's always going to have people that are going to be like, they've been really hard on him.
Yeah,
right. So and what we learned. Yeah, I was just
saying. It's the first time that a politician like gets such a sentence, but then again, he appealed, so it's not really happening. So it's just the news that's kind of sexy, You mean
there's nothing actually taking place?
Yeah, what's really going to happen is fucking nothing. Maybe at the very worst, he won't be allowed to, run for anything anymore.